Hi, I'm Sean, and today we'll be calibrating an Aquastar Temphion pH sensor. For calibration, we'll need the Temphion sensor, DI water for rinsing, pH buffers in the desired range. For this calibration, we'll be using pH 4 and 10 for a full range calibration. If desired, you may calibrate with a 4 and a 7 or a 7 and a 10 to bracket your expected pH range. We will also need the I&W calibration kit. If you've just received your Temphion, the lower O-ring here will need to be moved to the lower groove to expose the liquid junction, then rinsed with DI water. And place the unit in its first calibration point. I want to start by connecting the sensor to Aqua4 Plus. Once connected, you'll see the details all pop in on the window, and you'll know that you're ready to go to the Configure menu, Field Calibration. And since we're doing pH, we're going to select the pH channel. We'll then enter our first reference point, which in this case is pH 4. In the calculator window, you'll click Measure. And what you'll see here is the raw millivolt output from the probe. And what we're looking for is stability. You'll see that the millivolts are very stable. You might notice it tick between decimals, which is normal in an up and down fashion. You'll also want to make sure the temperature is stable. Once everything looks good, click OK to accept the value, and we're ready to move to the second point. We'll enter our second reference point to pH 10 in this case, and we'll move the sensor over to the second buffer. A quick rinse with DI water to avoid cross-contaminating the buffers. And then we'll be ready to take our second point readings. We'll click Measure in the calculator window for the second point. And what you'll see is a fairly quick initial drop in the millivolts into the negative range. And then you'll want to wait typically 5 to 15 minutes for stability in the second point. And now we wait. You'll know when you've reached stability when the millivolts are slowly dropping in the lower decimals, the hundredths to the thousandths. And it'll reach a point where you'll see the millivolts bounce up and down between 2 points. And right here it looks like we are stable in our second point. We'll click OK to accept the value. And what you'll see on the screen is an M and an I value. And that'll represent your slope and your offset. For pH, we'll want to see an M between -50 and -60, and an I above 240. If your values come outside of that range, you want to repeat the calibration process until you get the values in that range. We'll click Apply to accept those values, and that will input them above here in your calibration settings. It'll show your current M, I. It'll also record what your reference points were for the calibration, the temperature it was performed at, and it'll update the calibration date at the top. We'll click OK to accept all of them. And then we can verify the calibration by taking real-time readings. And again, you want to check for stability. And everything looks good. And that is how you perform a 2-point calibration on pH on the Aquastar Temphion.